The unfortunate reality that we face today is that most sports cars are no longer offered with a manual transmission. And we can't entirely blame the auto manufacturers because when they have offered us sports cars that have both an automatic and a manual, very few people would buy the manual version. So they were just like, why are we spending all this money developing a manual transmission car when none of our customers are buying it? There are obviously some exceptions to the rule. Look what happened when Porsche got rid of the manual transmission in the GT3. The 911R value skyrocketed and the Porsche was like, wait a second, we still need to make manuals, so they put a manual back into the 991.2 GT3. Aston Martin seems to still believe that people want to shift their own gears in their sports cars. So you have this, the Aston Martin Vantage AMR. The biggest change on this vehicle is that it has a 7-speed dogleg manual transmission. This is the first time a manual transmission has been fitted to the 4-liter AMG-derived twin-turbo V8 found in this vehicle. It's actually the exact same gearbox that came in the 2017 V12 Vantage S. 7-speed dogleg, so first gear is down and to the left, and you go up to second, reverses to the left and up. Kind of different, it takes a little bit of getting used to. It has the exact same gear ratios, but what it did cause is a reduction in the torque that engine makes. The normal automatic transmission car makes 505 pound-feet of torque. The AMR manual one is only 461 to protect the transmission itself, but the engine still makes 505 horsepower. This car also features something they call AM shift, which allows for rev matching on downshifts and full throttle upshifts. At the end of the day, putting a manual transmission in this car does make it slower. 0 to 60 goes from 3.5 seconds to 3.9 seconds. But what you do get back, hopefully, is some more driver engagement. Beautiful styling is always something that Aston Martins have offered. They're always some of the best looking cars on the road, and the Vantage continues this trend largely. I personally don't absolutely love the front of the car, the new headlights, but it continues that general Aston Martin grille shape. It's shifted down a little bit. As an AMR, you have some special touches. It's got exclusive 20-inch forged wheels, these lime green accents that carry across the exterior and on the inside of the car, some carbon fiber touches. You've got these carbon fiber vents on the hood, a lot of carbon fiber all around splitter, side skirts, and the diffuser. Around back, you have that single continuous light bar that continues onto that little lip spoiler. They echo that in the new DBX SUV too, so clearly a big thing in Aston Martin design languages. Quad tailpipes. Overall, the car is a good-looking sports car. Do I like it as much as the previous generation Vantage? Not quite, but I can't deny that it's a very pretty car. One of the most noticeable and beneficial changes with the Mercedes-Benz and Aston Martin partnership is an improved infotainment system. If you hop in a previous generation Aston Martin, the infotainment is so hilariously bad, it is practically unusable. This has the Mercedes system now. It's a little bit older, but you have the rotary dial in the middle. Another thing you notice is there's a lot of buttons and toggle switches, physical controls. Things aren't all nested in these touchscreens. The material fit and finish is also greatly improved. Lots of carbon fiber trim, leather, suede. As an AMR edition, we have this plaque in the middle that says 1 of 200. I don't believe they're numbered, but it's limited to 200 vehicles. I have AMR embossed on the seats. You've got this lime green accent running around. A lot of blue suede, blue leather, carbon fiber. And then the center cluster also has some great tech, a great digital display screen now. I'm also impressed that 6'3", I have a good amount of headroom. It doesn't feel too claustrophobic. I don't feel cramped. It's pretty spacious. And then at the center, we have this 7-speed manual transmission dogleg, which is going to be the coolest thing to try out. So because this is an Aston Martin and it has a manual transmission, let's go for a drive and see what it's like. All right, we are in the Aston Martin Vantage AMR. It's kind of crazy to think that I am driving a car where there are only 200 of these in the entire world. It takes a little bit to get used to this dogleg transmission. I've never driven the V12 Vantage that also had this dogleg, but first gear down and to the left, because most of the time, once you're moving, you're going to be second through seventh, essentially. I have a feeling I might get lost in some of these gears up there. We'll see how it goes. Visibility is pretty good, actually, being able to see out. I'm very comfortable. I'm still impressed with the seating position, the ergonomics and everything. Pretty large steering wheel. It's also kind of squared off, similar to what the C8 has now too, which means you get good space below it for your legs and good visibility above. The tech is great. The digital center tachometer in the middle. Let's go. And the first gear, left and down. It's got a very light clutch. Actually, everything in this car does feel pretty light. pretty quick. So now we're in 3rd gear, up to 4th gear, down for 5th gear. That's just going to take a little bit of getting used to. I think you have to completely rewire your brain for what gear you're going in. It makes good noises. One of the first things that came to mind when they launched this is, I wonder how it feels compared to something like a C63 AMG, because you have a 4-liter twin-turbo V8 and a 2-door coupe platform. One of the principal differences is that this car is probably 500-600 pounds lighter than the C63 AMG. And as the AMR edition, it's over 200 pounds lighter than the regular Vantage, 209 to be exact, I believe. So transmission saves some weight. Standard carbon ceramic brakes help. Some of the other interior trim pieces, some lightweighting efforts make this thing 200 pounds lighter, which is pretty nice. How does the transmission feel made it up to this 4-liter V8? Well, it's slower. Like I said earlier, 0 to 60 falls to 3.9 seconds versus 3.5. So that's another reason why the automakers haven't been putting this manual transmission into as many cars, is because technically it's an inferior system. It makes the car perform not as well as an automatic transmission or a dual clutch. But what you get is driver feel. It's got the rev matching, which is pretty fun. There we go, 3rd gear, down to 2nd. Now, objectively, this AMG motor is a great engine. It's efficient, it makes a good amount of power. I can't help but feel like it lost some of the charisma and character compared to the naturally aspirated engines found in previous generation Aston Martins. I really do hope they do a V12 version of this car too. Manual transmission coupled with this leaves me with a bit of a conundrum. Like I said, it's a little bit slower technically, and also a bit more expensive. The AMR started at $180,000, somewhere in that price range, which is essentially let's see, 1st gear, we'll get going, is 30 grand more than a regular automatic equipped Aston Martin Vantage. So yes, you get the limited exclusivity of the AMR edition of 200 ever built, but the fact that you can now get this transmission in a regular Vantage makes it a little less special. We also have to think about, there's 7th gear, we also have to think about the competition. For 180 grand, you've blown past Cayman GT4 money, you're into GT3 money. You can get a 911 GT3, which if you want a manual driving sports car, is definitely superior to the Vantage. It's a much more crisp feeling shifter. I think it's a more exciting powertrain. Now that I think about it, I'm actually kind of confused about this car, because to me, Aston Martins have been like grand touring vehicles, especially the bigger ones. So the Vantage, nope, that's 2nd gear, 1st gear. The Vantage is at least a little more sporty feeling. Putting a manual transmission, don't get me wrong, I'm very happy about. Any chance that we can still get manual cars is a very, very good thing. But I don't know if it quite fits the character of this vehicle. Again, it's the first time they ever made it a manual transmission to the 4-liter twin-turbo V8. Execution, I think, is pretty good. They made a host of mechanical changes. They actually make a suspension change, too, from the weight differences. They changed the differential up. So AMR is going to be special because they only limited to 200. Would I buy a manual Aston Martin Vantage when they come out with the future ones? I don't know, because again, I don't know what the price difference is going to be, but 30 grand more for this transmission, I don't think I can say it's worth it because of cars like the 911 GT3. Get a 991.2. Go back into 1st gear, is down. I'm still getting used to that. Up for 2nd. Down for 3rd, and up. Whoop! I just missed 4th and went straight to 6th by accident. Whoops! It would take quite a bit of getting used to. Aston Martin Vantage thoughts in general. Pretty impressed with the interior, the comfort, visibility. A little bit on the noisy side on the inside. Let's see what else. Material quality has been great. It feels pretty small, nimble. I like the steering. While a little bit light, it's got some good feeling to it. It's pretty direct. The active rev matching and the full throttle upshifts is pretty cool too. In conclusion, the Aston Martin Vantage AMR, objectively speaking, on paper, is it worth that $180,000? This one sticker for $190,000. I don't think it's a $190,000 driving experience. It has other intangibles like the limited edition run that could make it worth a little bit more. It's got all the bits that you would want and expect: carbon ceramic brakes, good sounding exhaust, a lot of horsepower, but it doesn't give me that feeling of excitement and emotion that I got from something like a 991.2 GT3, which every time I've driven one, I'm like, oh my God, I want to buy one. I really want to drive a regular Vantage now with the 8-speed auto, and I'm really curious to see what the price delta is going to be for this transmission in a regular Vantage. Overall, happy that they made this vehicle with this transmission. Don't quite think it's worth the price. Make sure you guys check out the little walk-around video we did with this car. This vehicle is from Platinum Motor Cars. If you need any vehicle at all, definitely check out their inventory. They always have something very cool. Dogleg manuals are kind of weird. Thanks for watching.